How did my old cardboard spray painting mask work out? Well, that's a bummer. But this one is better, and this video will walk you through how I made it. I started by drafting a plan for the most complex piece. Drafting a plan can take some burden off of later. Then, I started drawing and cutting out all the pieces I needed to make this plan happen. I start by imagining my cardboard projects. Then, I draft them. Then I turn those drafts into reality. This video is the first time I'm showing this much of a creative process behind one of my crafts. It is because right now, in my opinion, this mask will be the dawn of a new era of crafting for my channel. I needed 2 layers for this part of the component, so I had to make sure they aligned perfectly. And, well, good enough. And because they align good enough, they're ready to be hot glued together. Let's go. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. Sped up footage, 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 yeah. Oh my god, it's revealed I'm a nerd, I wear glasses! Once they were glued together, I had to make sure the seal was airtight, so I added hot glue to the edges. Then, I cut out an outer piece for the respiration system, and made a cover that will attach to it. This is the respiration system with a somewhat airtight flap for the air evacuator. The purpose of the air evacuator is so air goes out, not in through there. And the square with the circle hole will be where the air filter will go in. And now it's time to get to using these pieces to make the cover. I cut out those 4 skinny rectangles you saw earlier for these hooks I was experimenting with. And to increase the strength and durability of that outer layer, I had to make another piece like the one you saw before. So I glued these 2 layers together, and then I found, after experimenting, that the hook system kept failing and breaking. So what I did was I switched to a snug insert system where the rectangular holes squeeze tightly onto the inserts. And this system has worked multiple times. There are gaps, and there are pieces ensuring that the gaps are as big as they need to be. Here I am showing you that the cover can also be detached and not just attached. At this point in the video, the cover looked pretty boring and quite literally flat. And it was not that user-friendly, it was difficult to work with in terms of attaching and detaching. So I knew I had to do something, and I planned on it before I started working on it. And that black square on the bottom is the filter paper. So what I did was I added these pieces to give it some more style and sturdiness. It goes out by a very small amount, and it kind of matters for it still being rather compact, but it adds a little extra form. And the cover became somewhat easier to put on and take off because of its extra sturdiness. And while this was a noticeable improvement I was willing to accept, it still wasn't ideal, and I wanted to improve upon this for future masks. And now that I've just finished the most complex component of this entire mask, next, the mask ring. To make this, I glued some 1-inch wide cardboard strips together and cut little triangles out of them in order to make the shape like this, and that made it fit my face. So on this piece of cardboard, I drew out what it would look like to cut out a small triangle. It takes cautious, incremental cutting to get the shape right. And the next step was going to be to get the respiration system attached to the mask ring. And it wasn't all that complex to do this. I just needed 1 well-measured trapezoid and a triple triangle on top in order to get the respiration system attached to the mask ring. And I sealed up 1 undermask using duct tape, and I used hot glue to secure certain edges. And this is me showing you that this undermask fits on my face, and I kind of look like a pig with no nostrils when I wear it like this. And to further prove the undermask to you, this was me showing how it worked with the cover off. With the cover off, the systems can be seen. The flap can be seen. And the filter too. The flap shuts when I inhale, and it goes out when I exhale. I was gonna need this cardboard for the mask cover. And now that I'm done acting Southern, these are the pieces I used, simple pieces, to get the mask cover started. Somewhere along making the mask cover, I decided to make these pieces called strap holders. They were meant to be the most durable I have ever made. These reinforcing pieces on the right, glued onto the edges, ensured that. 4 finished strap holders. And now it's time for the 2-liter soda plastic ring. Or whatever the shape is. The right-angled parts were easy, but how did I get these 2 curves to match? I drew a bunch of line segments out at equal angles and made all the line segments expand from center outward. And while I felt nervous, I had some confidence in the math I used. So, this was me testing to see if one cutout fit perfectly onto the other, and yes! Then it came time to glue them together. And once I glued them together, I knew I had to curve them. I had to make sure everything else was ready before adding the 2-liter soda plastic edged thing. I also covered some strips and duct tape in order to make the straps. My scissors has really been through it. It tore. And there it was. You can see it was coming together. There were still more steps ahead. I tried cutting less pieces than I did on prior masks, and I tried making them symmetrical. As you see me getting ready to spackle, take a look at the top. I made it so that holes allow vapor to escape. And this is important because not every last bit of vapor is kept in by the undermask. Anyways, on to the spackling. These cracks here, I don't want it to look like a sidewalk by the time I'm done painting. I want it to look better. I only needed a little bit of spackle for this one because most of the mask is actually pretty smooth. There will be some obvious waviness to this mask, but at the same time, meh, it's a work mask. And to some people, it might not matter, or even be kind of cool looking, and I don't care that much. Not only did I want my next mask to be better, but I also wanted to save money, and spackling does cost a little money. And I was saving at least $20 by making this mask. I didn't want to save a little bit less. Welcome to the painting field, and this is the best FPS you've ever seen. Check it out. As you can see, the paint thrower is a very effective weapon. Listen to me, you boot recruit, this is not a spray painting can. You know what? That's it. For your talking back, you gotta run 10 laps. And then it was time to wait for these pieces to dry. The old filter cover was about 60% protection for the filter, but for my new mask, filter protection was full frontal guaranteed with some front-like angles. There it was, a broken strap holder in my old model, and the others thin and needing some weird reinforcing patches. But these new ones are made tough from the get-go. The old face cover was a face cover, and it looked kind of rugged, kind of messy. But for this one, I used less pieces, learned from experience, and it came out cleaner. I want this mask to have a useful life of at least a year. It's already tested, and I'll show it in the field later.